Yeah, anyone please confirm if I'm audible?
Yes, you are audible.
Hello and good evening, everyone. A warm and hearty welcome to each one of you to this ethics class. As we embark on a brand new year filled with endless possibilities. So, as we all gather here today, I'm reminded of the profound words of William Arthur Ward. The mediocre teacher tells, the good teacher explains, the superior teacher demonstrates, and the great teacher inspires. So it's with immense pleasure and anticipation that we extend our heartfelt welcome to Raghu sir, a source of inspiration and knowledge in our academic journey. This new year marks a fresh chapter, a canvas waiting to be painted with our collective efforts and enthusiasm. As we step into this new beginning, let us embrace the opportunities that awaits us. So let's pledge to learn, to grow, and to support each other in this educational expedition. So once again, welcome everyone to an exciting and enriching journey ahead. And here's to a year filled with learning, growth, and accomplishment. Thank you. Now it's over to you, sir.
Good evening, officers. You should acclimatize to this cold. Why? Because your training will be in Labasna, where it will be still colder sometimes. So if you want to join Labasna, you have to get acclimatized to these things. So here, like before I start, I would like to ask you to go through the orientation session, which we already had. So I think most of you might have gone through that. So before I start, let me ask you, like, what is ethics? One of the things we discussed in our last class. What is ethics? Very, very nice. Then, very good. Yes, ABC, our action, choice, thought, behavior, everything. Very nice. So in fact, that should be the one definition which you have to internalize. There are thousands of definitions, but if you take those things, you cannot answer most of the questions. Why? The reason being, your syllabus is based on second ARC. And this is the definition given by second ARC, right? So having said that, there is a deadly combination with respect to ethics. So one of the reason why I chose like teaching ethics is because of this. So it will be very useful for essay, indisputably. No other option comes or no other subject comes very near, very close to the usefulness when it compared to ethics. Then you should be starting with society also. Ethics. Ethics, is it an individual standard or a societal standard? What about individual? Very good. So with respect to individuals, there is nothing like ethics. Is the point clear? Here the concepts are very, very important. Ethics can never be there with respect to individuals, right? It is always a societal concept. So society, what all the things which are there in society you have to read along with this: governance, constitution, and even social justice. That you have to read, because 3 chapters in the ethics paper are entirely related to public administration, where you should have fair understanding of constitution. Then, as you are aware, our subject after that, interview and ethics are very, very closely related. It is oral and the other is written, right? So these are the very important things. Like you have to go in a flow with society, with social justice, ethics, interview, all encompassing, carrying more than 1,000 marks. See, you can see almost nearly like more than 50% of your syllabus with respect to mains will be covered with this one. Coming to the one of the most simplified, one of the most easiest way to understand what is ethics, what is this paper about, not only with respect to paper and also with respect to the questions they are asking. So this can be distinguished into 2 words. Can you guess? The whole ethics paper and also the questions which they are asking, what they are testing, can be grouped into 2 distinct words. Attitude and values very near. Aptitude and problem solving. So they are ethics and aptitude. Now the question is, why are they distinct? Very important. They're like entirely different. One you cannot correlate with other. Why? Okay, we cannot say, but you are very near. Okay, yes, that is the one. So here they are very, very distinct for the reason that ethics comes from society. So from attitude, from where does the aptitude comes from? Inborn, right? Next, what is the source? What is the source of values? Society. Before that, individual morality. Okay, then once again, how is ethics tested? One of your friend is saying behavior, you are saying actions, then choice. So that is the reason why I took this. So in fact, to make the things clear, so they are very distinct because the these are learned, right? What about this? Inborn. What is the source of ethics? So it is value. Very important. In fact, human value. And after that, it is society, right? So it is inborn. Means what is the source? Your genes. So genes through meiosis, right? Your source is your parents, or you can say even nature. How is ethics tested? You have to go with me because I have explicitly mentioned in this the in the orientation program. What is the preamble of your ethics paper says? This paper is to test the candidates. What? Attitude. So it is through your attitude. So ethics, when it is followed, it gets manifested in the form of integrity. If you are following ethical standards, then we say that you are man of integrity. In professional life, the same thing we call that as probity. How are they tested? It is tested by attitude. If you say behavior, it will be very narrow because attitude itself is having all those things. So here, how is your aptitude tested, or what is the aptitude which is being tested here? What is the aptitude which is being tested, which is given in the syllabus itself? Problem solving. So here, problem solving or decision making. Very, very important. Please listen to me. Civil service aptitude test. What is the difference between this test and the aptitude which is being tested here? So here, civil service aptitude test, there all the things, decision making, logical reasoning, all these things, comprehension, all these things are tested. But here, one among them, problem solving is tested, right? So in this regard, testing of aptitude is closely related to your CSAT paper. Is the point clear to you? So I started with the question as to why our paper is named as ethics, integrity, and aptitude. How are they tested? In fact, in the syllabus itself, they have said that they will be testing your attitude and problem solving. So problem solving component is related to your aptitude, and your attitude will be testing ethics and integrity. Now the question again is, Why? Through attitude, they are testing ethics. They would have tested the ethics themselves. Is my point clear to you? The paper is named Ethics, Integrity, and Aptitude, but they are saying that they are testing attitude and problem solving. Why? They would have kept attitude and problem solving itself. Why they have not saying that we are testing ethics? Okay, for that. So not that. Ethics simply means standards, right? When you follow those standards, it becomes integrity, right? But these are very, very subjective. Love is a value. How to test? It is through attitude. So attitude is a definite predictor of the things. Values are not definite. They are broad. Is the point clear to you? Attitude is a definite predictor. If there is something which comes very near, then it is attitude. Is the concept clear? Any doubt with respect to these things? So this is very important. Here they are like they are into two important things: ethics and aptitude. Ethics is learned. The basis for ethics is values. In fact, to be precise, human values. The source is society, and ethics is tested through attitude. Okay. So here I'll be merging both chapter number 5 and 1 because they are interrelated. Moral thinkers will be there in chapter number 1 also. So I'll be carrying those things in parallelly. Okay. Moral thinkers and philosophers. What is the difference? It's just like put your common sense. There is nothing like big difference. The simple difference is think. We are all thinking animals. We think based on our reflection, based on our cognitive abilities, all these things. So a person who thinks can be said to be a thinker. But a philosopher does this in a very academic way, means is into the philosophical things. So here, a thinker is a philosopher is a thinker. Thinking is a broader one. So putting those things in words, thinkers, individuals who engage in reflective or critical thinking across various domains, including but not limited to philosophy. And when it comes to philosophers, specifically refer to individuals who study philosophy as an academic discipline or as a dedicated pursuit. This is a simple difference. And they have not asked and they won't be asking also. So in essence, all philosophers are thinkers by virtue of engaging in critical thought. Not all thinkers are necessarily philosophers, as their focus might extend beyond the traditional boundaries of philosophical inquiry. Right? No need to know this. You should be having just a idea about these things. So ethics, as I already have delineated, first of all, they are standards. These are the standards which are placed by the society on itself. Here, like we often, in general, we criticize society. Society won't appreciate that. Society won't appreciate many things. The most important thing which you are neglecting is the concept of society. Very important. Society is a living organism. In fact, it is greater, it is having more features than a living organism. It grows, it breathes, it adopts. So whenever you get the concept of society, you have to imagine society as an individual. Society also dominates. You're all dominated by society. Do you agree? Right? We are all dominated. Here, the most important thing which you have to keep in mind is Society want to prosper on its own. If the elements, the people who are there in the society, if they are not following, society perishes, society vanishes. So society plays these things on itself, and they guide your behavior, thought, action, everything you can write. And this is the very standard definition given by second ARC. There shouldn't be any doubt in this, and you have to internalize. So this is one of the most accepted among the definitions given by second ARC. Not only that, I have gone through all the 15 reports, and I have collected all the definitions which are given across the second ARC. So in all these things, second ARC says that ethics are set of standards. In some places, it says that they are principles. In some cases, it says that they are values. As you are aware, ethics is also a kind of value. How does ethics emerge? Very important question. Ethical standards कैसे emerge होते हैं? Okay. Okay. Let me explain this. Values means those which are important. It's a very, very broad one. A value important for an individual becomes individual value. Important for this class becomes class value. Similarly, we have got societal values. So in line with that, among values, there are what is said to be core values, universal values. So what do you understand by core values or universal values? Which are important, which are present in all societies. So since these values are very subjective, we cannot infer anything concretely. By among from these values emerges certain standards. Are you getting me? Pura like around, like you have values around, but those have to be codified, right? So love, so loving your neighbor's wife, can you think that is a value? So you have to delineate as to which love is good, which love is not, and also like quantity, everything. Too much is too bad, right? So they say like if you consume like even amrut in excess, that becomes poison. If you consume poison in a very minute quantity, that may also become amrut. So why I said all these things is values are very subjective. So we cannot infer, like has to, like they cannot guide our behavior properly. By from among these values emerges standards. Those standards are said to be ethics, which guide our behavior, our thought, action, everything. Clear? Okay. So here second ARC has said there are standards, values, principles, and all these things help to guide our conduct. Conduct simply means our behavior. So you can write all these things or any one of the things. That will be more than sufficient. It is given by second ARC. So by summing up all, we can say that ethics is set of values, principles, and standards of right conduct. Right? Now, we have discussed that ethics are set of standards. Then which is the supreme ethical standard? What should be the basis for this standard? Ethics are standards, right? So what standard, like if you are thinking that they are standard, what should be the basis to decide whether these are standards or not? Society, definitely. In society, what? Culture, okay. So what is the supreme ethical standard, or what is the right thing to do? In this regard, like to explain those things, let me explain a small case study. This is a real case study which is being taught all over the world in the schools of philosophy and also law. So it was in 1884. Four sailors were stranded, were struck at a sea in a small lifeboat, thousands of miles from the land. Their ship had gone down in a storm and they had escaped to a lifeboat with only 2 cans of preserved food and no fresh water. So it is often said, if you are in sea, water, water everywhere, not a single drop to drink. Why you can't drink sea water? Okay, salt concentration. Why salt concentration? Salt concentration रहने से क्या होता है? हम्म हुए तो क्या होता है? अब तो नमक खा रहे हो इन योर फूड. You preserve pickles. They add more salt. Why? High BP. Okay. So it's in fact dehydration. Okay. So what happens is, if the concentration of salts is very high, due to osmosis, water will move away from your body to that. Say, for example, you take a bowl. In that, you put a concentrated salt solution and you put some grapes. In 2 days, they will shrink. Why? Because the water content in the grapes is very high, and the water content or the concentration of salt outside is very high in the water. So it will remove all the water. So coming to ethics. So this is the scenario. There are 4 people. So here what they did is, like, to begin with, 10 days they managed. Preserved food lasted for 10 days. For the next 8 days, they ate nothing. 8 days, nothing. Just imagine the situation. On the 19th day, one of the persons suggested that they will go for a lottery. Means among the 4, who will be dying? Because they don't have water. So what is the only water? Blood available. And eating the flesh. So it was at last said that no, 19th day. On the 20th day, one person from a very humble background by name Parker, he was killed on 20th day. On 24th day, as they were having their breakfast. So what was their breakfast? Parker. A ship appeared at last and they were produced in court. This has really happened. So here, in this situation, they were produced. If you are a judge, what will be your ruling? So the 3 people who are there, they have killed some person and they have eaten. Here, what will be your judgment? Here, inevitable. If they don't kill, they may all die. So what will be your judgment? If it's a question asked in your UPSC, what will be your answer? So here, like, capital punishment means like terminating his life, 12 years, 1 year, or compensation to his family. Compensation. So if that becomes the case, they all will be start killing because they can somehow give compensation. So you kill me and you give compensation to my family. Yes, 1 year jail. Okay. It's just to make you think. So if you are one among the 4 sailors, what you would have done? आप वो 4 लोगों में से आप एक है, तो आप क्या उपाय, तंत्र मंत्र, वो क्या बोलते हैं, what you would have been your solution? What would have been your solution? Sink and swim together. Eat. Okay, here eat fish. See, one fellow has shown creativity. Sir, fish we can catch. They're not that easy like your film. ऐसे आपको लाइफ बोट में है, फिश जा रहा है, ऐसे पकड़ो, ऐसे फ्राई करो, ऐसा नहीं होता. So here, if this has been asked in your interview, what you would have given your answers? In my opinion, not possible. So we take that they are not possible. You have to decide among your 4. So in my opinion, there are many, but In my opinion, like you coming forward to sacrifice your life would be one of the best method, because by that you'll show how like you care about the group. So there are many options like drawing lottery, that is also one good option, and also killing and not killing anyone, like sab bhuke mar jayenge aisa, or sacrificing self or your innovative method. That's also, that's the thing, innovative thing. So anything may be. Okay. So this is one of the most important one, and often like जो भी ethics पढ़ाते हैं इसका सिवा नहीं पढ़ाते. One of the most famous, as I told you once again, this is the very standard case study with respect to like all the law schools and the schools of philosophy. So runaway trolley, and this was made famous by Michael Sandel, a teacher of Harvard University. Suppose you are the driver of a trolley van. Just think a van hurtling down the track at 70 miles per hour. Up ahead, you see six workers. You are moving, and suddenly you see six workers standing on the track. You try to stop, but you cannot. The brakes were not working. Means like old films. In old films, brake fail, one of the method. So here also brake fail. Suddenly you noticed a side track. Off to the left, there is a worker on that track too, but only one. What would you do in this? If you go to the side track, one will be killed. If you go on the main one, six will be killed. So you are the driver. So what you will be doing? Option A. देखिए एक आदमी like he has taken all care, he is not on the road or track, कुछ side में काम कर रहा है, isn't it? There is no sin of him, the only person, but you want to punish him also. Okay, generally this is the answer given. It's not about this, it's about the next one which we'll be taking. So here the same case here, but this time you are not the driver, you're an onlooker. So this time you are not the driver but an onlooker standing on a bridge overlooking the track. Now there is no side track, only one track. Down the track comes a trolley, and at the end of the track, there are six workers. Once again, the brakes don't work. The trolley is about to crash into six workers. You feel helpless to avoid this disaster until you notice standing next to you on the bridge a very heavy man, fat man. You could push him off the bridge onto the track into the path of the oncoming trolley. He would die, but six workers could be saved. So what should be doing here? See, and also like there is no chance for you to lay down because you are very thin. आपका ऊपर ऐसे ही चले जाए, इसलिए that fat person. So fat persons are very useful, at least for this. So what you will do? Option A, like you will push that fat person. Then you have to make a choice because UPSC asks you to make choices. You cannot say, you cannot sit on the fence. So A or B? Yeah, you will push. What about others? So think that this is the one. No scope for innovation. Okay, you want to push that person. So generally, like I found this class little different. Generally, they say that no, they won't do. Generally. So here, in the first case, somehow you saved six people and you killed one person. Here, generally, what they do is they won't push that fat person. Generally, are you getting me? So generally, they hesitate to push a fat person. So here, in the first case, to save six, you have killed one person. But in the second case, the other way. So why did you hesitate? At least in the second case, you hesitated to push that fat person. Why? Okay, legal. Okay. Otherwise, you would have pushed. If there is no legality, think that there is no legality. So here, same. The person is same and everything is same. Both in both the cases will save life. But you think twice. Why is that so? What was ethical in the first instance? Why it was not ethical in the second instance? So these are the things, like I'm not in all these case studies, there is one ethical standard hidden. This will delineate afterwards. Then the second, next one, a calculated shopkeeper, a very, very famous one. The example itself is given by Immanuel Kant. So here, a child goes to a grocery store to buy bread, small child. The grocer could overcharge him and the child would not know. But the grocer realizes that if others discovered that he took advantage of the child, in this way, word might spread and hurt his business. For this reason, he decided not to overcharge the child. Is the shopkeeper ethical? Why you say that he is not ethical? Like बुरी नजरों से देखने से ही अनएथिकल हो जाते हैं? ऐसे बोले तो हम सब अनएथिकल है in one or the other way. But he is doing the right thing. He is doing the right thing. Whether I am teaching for money or passion or to help you, if I am teaching, don't you think that is good? So here, according to you, is not ethical. Why? A person is okay. Here, what made you to say that he is unethical? See, he has not done anything wrong. Though the child was very small, he has given the correct change, he has given the bread, everything. But the reason is different. The reason is motive. Motive. The reason, uska like पीछे क्या है वो. So if I help someone with some altruistic motive, मेरे पास सब नोट्स है, वो पढ़ो फर्स्ट रैंक आ जाते हो, ऐसा कुछ बोल के, if I keep some altruistic mode, then it will be unethical. This is one of the thing which is directly related to categorical imperative, which we'll be discussing. So shopkeeper is not ethical. Okay. Why? We have discussed. And very simple one. This is with respect to contractual theory, old lady and the painter. So in this regard, fixed a contract for painting. Old lady fixed rupees 10,000 for painting. She was not aware. Think that it is cold. She is not going anywhere outside the house. Someone came and she gave the contract for 10,000 rupees. But in general, of late, she came to know that the contract that she gave for 10,000 is just worth 5,000. So here, is the contract fair? So there is nothing which has happened illegally. Is the contract fair? So can we overcharge in the same way? So there it was ethical. Then why can't we overcharge? आपको ही a sabji wala, if he does the thing, can we call them ethical people? This is about contractual theory, which we'll be discussing later. Okay. So what do you mean by ethics? So it's a very famous standard one. Long before sociologist Raymond Boomhard, he asked people, what is ethics? Some said, ethics is my religious beliefs. Can ethics be equated to religious beliefs? There may be many who are not believing any religion. In religion, we have got many customs and traditions which are unethical. Can you give examples? Sati, then what about untouchability? Untouchability. Not only that, in all religions, we have unethical things. Not only Hinduism, Christianity, or anything, all have. So we cannot equate ethics with religious beliefs. So here the point is that We are not saying that religion is unethical. The point is that we cannot equate ethics and religion, right? Others say that ethics is what my feelings tell me right and wrong. Can we consider this as ethics? What your feelings tells right and wrong, is that ethics? So whatever I feel, can I consider that as ethical? Whatever Hitler felt he has done, then that becomes ethical. All the people who have committed heinous crimes, then they will be ethical. Not only that, our feelings changes. So you are all young people. So your feelings are entirely different from like aged people. They change with time, they change with place. So how can we equate something which is said to be like superior, supernatural, something like that, with something which changes often? We cannot equate ethics to feelings also. The next is being ethical is doing what law requires. Can we call this as ethics? Can you give the example of some laws which are unethical? Very good. So here examples also note down. Apartheid, apartheid system which was there, that was also a law, unethical. All the British laws of pre-independence can be said to be unethical. If the law itself unethical, how can we equate that to ethics? So then the next someone say that ethics consists of standards of behavior our society accepts. Somehow it comes near, but here standards of just behavior they are emphasizing. Right? Next one, I don't know what ethics means. Is this possible? Is this possible? I don't know what ethics means. Is there anyone who doesn't know what is ethics? Why we say that we all know ethics? We're all part of society, right? So since we are part of society, definitely we'll know what is ethical, what is a societal standard. We may not be following those things, right? So all these things like cannot be said, cannot be equated to ethics. Here the key line is ethics cannot be equated. That should be the line. Ethics cannot be equated to religion, cannot be equated to feelings. Means when you equate means they become same. All religions are based on ethical standards. Is there anyone who says no? All religions are based on ethical standards, but religion is not equal to ethics, right? So what is the supreme ethical standard? Coming to the one, what is the right thing to do? Here in this regard, the most accepted view is locating ethics. So where is ethics located? So here think that, okay, there is an individual here. So you want to achieve certain results. So for that, he uses certain means. So this becomes end. Here, one of the like two most important, most accepted till date are this: locating ethics in the ends results. Means if the result is good, then it is ethical, right? So what are the other names for results? End, result, consequences, all means the same. Is the point clear to you? If you are getting good result, then it is said to be ethical. The other one is with respect to locating ethics in the means. Means here, they're not bothered about result. Let the result be negative, whatever may be. Follow the means. So here, not like just concentrate on the word locate. Where you are locating ethics. If you are locating ethics in the end, in the result, in the consequence, that is one part. If you are locating in the means to achieve those things, So first one locates in the end, second one locates in the means. Here, most important thing is they are not concerned with the other one. Mean to say that when you concentrate, when you locate ethics in the ends, you are not concerned with the means. आपको आईएएस में फर्स्ट रैंक आना है उतना ही. सो आप कॉपी करते हैं या एवेल्युएटर का पास डायरेक्टली जाते हो, वॉट एवर मे बी. So the means are not cared of. The other way around. Is this clear to you? These are the most important. The first one is said to be consequentialism. The second one is said to be deontology. We'll explain those things. So others, they locate ethics in virtues. In fact, this is redundant and almost like not that much used. It was used by like our classical thinkers like Aristotle, Plato, and Socrates. Honesty is a value. If a person possesses this value, he becomes virtuous. Right? That virtuous person, whatever he does, that becomes ethical. Please understand this. Virtuous ethics. What does virtuous ethics means? You have a good value. You have imbibed a good value. Then it is said that whatever you do will be ethical. Like say maybe courage, anything. Then another is locating ethics in rights. So here they talk about especially human rights, libertarianism. They say that we own. Here the most important thing is they are giving more importance to the individual rather than society. They are of the opinion that like prostitution, like same-sex marriage, all these things are not unethical at all. Why? Because this is my body, this is my hand, isn't it? This is my hand. I should be allowed to do whatever I want with this one. The only limitation should be, what should be the only limitation? When it hurts others, I should be allowed to swing my arms the way I want. The only limitation for swinging my arm is if it hurts others. Is the point clear? You should be allowed to do whatever you want, but it should not come in the liberty of others, rights of others. That's it. The second is with respect to contract. When a contract is made, we have to abide by this. So in that, most important social contract theory. So these are the most accepted ethical standards. In that, all the like three are some of the other way variants, but the first two are the most important. Okay. Okay. So here, like the same thing which I have drawn. So there is a person who want to do some work. So the end is if if you locate ethics in the end, it becomes consequentialism. If you locate ethics in the means, it becomes deontology. Deon, in fact, means rules or law or duty. So with respect to consequentialism, the most important and accepted is utilitarianism by Bentham. And with respect to deontology, the most accepted is categorical imperative given by Kant. With respect to virtuous ethics, cardinal virtues has given by Plato. So these are the three things. So please read this one. This is a very, very important questions. And also like I will be giving two questions you have to write because these are the things which define in fact the whole paper of ethics. Human beings should always be treated as ends. What does this mean? No. Human beings should always be treated as results, consequences, not as means, not as instrument. Say, for example, there is a fan. So, is the fan an end or a means? Means. What is the end? Air. Right? Are you getting me? So, means ka ye matlab hai. Like if you get confused with means, just you can substitute by instrument. So instrument is not the end. Instrument is not the end. Say, for example, I have a marker. Is this the end? So writing is the end. This is the means. So they are saying that you shouldn't be using people as means to achieve anything. Because if there is something which is having highest worth, then that is people. Say, for example, up like think silver. So you are boiling silver and you are melting silver. Silver से gold आ रहा है. So silver became means to the end. But here it is not the case. Humanity itself is a big one. Humanity को आप means लिए तो end क्या होगा? Humanity से बड़ा कुछ है? So that is one of the meaning. But just understand the literal meaning. Human beings should always be treated as ends in themselves, never as merely means. Explain the meaning and the significance of this statement, giving its implications in modern techno-economic society. So the last one is very important, very, very important for the reason that in most of the questions they ask this. Happiness. What does happiness mean to you? Patriotism. What does patriotism mean to you? So according to you, that is the one question which they ask. Next, with regard to the morality of actions, one view is that means is of paramount importance, means the most important. The other view is that ends justify means. Which view do you think is more appropriate? Justify your answers. So we'll discuss these two, and you please take these two as homework and write, because the paper of ethics to a greater extent revolves around this. Okay. Most accepted view, it is locating ethics in ends, consequences, or result. So this is said to be consequentialism. What is consequentialism? Now, not only focus, locate ethics is present there itself. Is the point clear to you? आपका means का, like you shouldn't be thinking at all. Ethics is located only in consequences, only in results, only in ends. That is said to be consequentialism, also known as teleology. So, have you heard of telomers? If you are from science background. So, in DNA, telomers are the things which are at the end. So, telo means end. So, it is also known as teleology, consequentialism. Very important. Just all these slides will be given to you. Concentrate on the subject, the flow. Morality of an action is contingent. Ethics of an action is dependent on the action's outcomes or the result. So ethics is dependent on outcomes or the result. That is in very simple and yet authentic way. Thus, morally right action is one that produces good outcome or good consequence. Understood? If something is producing good outcome or good consequence, then it is ethical according to consequentialism or teleological ethics. Right? So here means are secondary. Means, in fact, in many cases, they are not considered. The end result is that which must be considered before determining the morality of decision. Clear? So here, like many might get confused with respect to morality, ethics, and values. So here, one of the like very like inappropriate way of differentiating morality and ethics is ethics has societal standards, morality has individual standards. That is a very wrong conception. Have you heard of a question, constitutional morality? It has been asked 3 times. Once in GS2, and I think twice in ethics also. So if you go by that logic, constitution individual hai kya? No. The difference is, with respect to ethics, they are very objective standards, right? With respect to morals, they are principles. Are you getting me? There is a light difference. So with respect to standards, since they are very concrete, you can differentiate into right and wrong. Morality is with respect to principles. With respect to principle, it is about good and bad. Did you got confused? Standards. Standards. So how we come to know that this is 15 centimeters? We compare to one. A boy is riding the cycle on the left-hand side. Will we call him good boy or right boy? He's doing the right thing. So he's right. Clear? So principles say what is good, what is bad. So that is the last one you should be. Last one. I'll come to that. My next point is that that should be the last one. In the very beginning itself, I told. So last should be that. So here morality and ethics के बीच में क्या difference है? So they can be used synonymously. But the thing is, principles are subjective. They say what is good and what is bad. Here, ethics are very objective, standards. They say what is right and what is wrong. That is the one. So of late, and also like one of the reason, like it is given in lexicon book. Morality means with respect to individual standards. So in fact, that is not that appropriate. If at all, if you get, and if at all, if you want to write, you can mention that as a last point. So we'll discuss. Sir, 1 minute, sir. We'll take all the questions at the last, sir. I will wait. Anything you just jot down, like I will take up. Because it's like that. आपका क्वेश्चन का आंसर नेक्स्ट में मिल सकता है. So I'll wait. Any question you can bring me. And one of the reason is our students may feel like very pulled down. अरे ये आदमी को सब आ रहा है, हमें कुछ नहीं आ रहा है, ऐसा होता है. Okay. So is this things clear to you? Will you be reading this once very fast? एक बार पढ़िए. इससे ज्यादा कुछ नहीं है इसमें. In fact, they won't consider the means at all in teleology. Okay. So in teleology, we have all these things: utilitarianism, hedonism, egoism, aestheticism, altruism, and negative consequentialism. These are not that easy. The only important is utilitarianism. Here, the difference between utilitarian and hedonism, they may ask. So utilitarianism is speaking about the concept of society. Hedonism, it is about individual. So here, utilitarian action is right if it leads to the greatest happiness of the greatest number. This is the one tagline for utilitarianism. So here, not just happiness, greatest happiness of the greatest number. That is the tagline. If you write this, you'll get full marks with respect to utilitarianism. So happiness means maximizing pleasure and minimizing the pain. So hedonism, pleasure is the most important pursuit of mankind, and individuals should strive to maximize their own total pleasure. So the previous one was the greatest happiness of the greatest number of people. Here, hedonism is with respect to individual. Individuals strive to maximize its own total pleasure. So pleasure, in fact, it's a very short one. Happiness, in fact, for a longer period. That is the next one we'll be discussing. So pleasure is said to be related to like the animal instincts what we have. Happiness is that which comes with your values. So to differentiate that, we'll like say for example, if say for example health, say for example reading for UPSC, आपने एक दिन में 15 hours पढ़ लिए, it is very difficult. Will you feel happy or not? Why? Because that is your value. So on the other hand, pleasure. So बहुत ठंड लग रहा है, you go and have coffee. So that is pleasure. Okay. So egoism and action is right. These are like not that required. You should be knowing just the dictionary meaning. That will suffice for these things. An action is right if it maximizes the good for the self. Here, self-interest has the foundation of morality. It licenses actions which are good for the individual, even if it is determinantal to the general welfare. So this is the one difference with respect to egoism. Then with respect to atheism, it's very simple, a life characterized by abstinence for egoistic pleasures. So can you give an example? So our Rishi Munis, after they get aged, so what they will do? Vanaprastha. So that is the one. So abstinence from egoistic pleasures, especially to achieve spiritual goal. So altruism, so here there will be some people like that. So they will be very useful for the whole society, for the house, they will be harmful. So these are the people. An individual take action that have the best consequences for everybody except himself, or even at the risk or the cost of oneself. You do not get anything by doing those acts. So here, altruism is the word coined by the French philosopher Auguste Comte, live for others. So we'll be studying a lot about this in sociology. Negative consequentialism, the other way around, it focuses on minimizing the bad consequence rather than promoting good consequences, right? So will you be able to like reproduce these things in one or two words afterwards, not now? So in Loanka, like for all these things, you should know the meaning. That will suffice. They have not asked and they won't be asking. But utilitarianism, they will be asking. Consequentialism, utilitarianism. So this was given by Jeremy Bentham, one of the most important name. So Bentham. So Bentham gave utilitarianism. He was an English moral philosopher, legal reformer, founder of the doctrine of utilitarianism. So many spoke of utilitarianism, but he gave the concrete form and also in the modern way, in a sophisticated way. Jeremy Bentham. So Jeremy, if you forget also, Bentham, most important one after Kant. So according to him, like as we have discussed, right thing to do, any action is right if it leads to the greatest happiness of the greatest number. So anything. So can you think of an example for this kind of things? Very good, very, very good example. So when you construct a dam, some tribals will be uprooted, right? They will be thrown somewhere, but the whole states get benefited. So this is good according to utilitarianism. But by uprooting those tribes, you are using those tribes as means. Are you getting me? So you are using these people as means to achieve something else. So that is against not the individual, that is against to the humanity. We'll discuss that in detail with respect to deontology. What is the right thing to do? Whatever maximizes utility. So you're all done with the economic course, I think. What is utility? Yes, the want satisfying power of a commodity. So here utility they have equated to happiness. So happiness, anything which produces happiness, greatest happiness of the greatest number is said to be utilitarian and it is ethical. So here happiness is equal to pleasure minus pain. Anything which increases the pleasure or decreases the pain is said to be happiness. Whatever produces pleasure, whatever prevents pain or suffering. So happiness is equal to pleasure minus pain. So the main idea here is the action is right if it leads to the greatest happiness of the greatest number of people. So now, why happiness is been chosen? They would have chosen something else, which produces more money, which produces more number of offsprings. The population will grow. Why they have chosen happiness as the criteria? Why values? Otherwise, they would have taken other thing. They would have taken love. So here, what Bentham says is, there are two sovereign masters. Like you can think God, sovereign masters. So who are these sovereign master? One is pleasure and another is pain. So is there anyone who tries to like increase the pain? So we all try to decrease the pain. We all try to increase the pleasure. So all our thought, all our actions, say why we are wearing this woolen dress to keep ourselves warm, right? So all our actions invariably are dependent on these masters. So we listen to these people. So that is the reason we have taken happiness, because happiness in fact is defined by pleasure and pain. Is the point clear? Why they have taken happiness? Why they have taken happiness? Yes, humanity is governed by two sovereign masters is the key word. So whenever I stress upon the important word, please note down, because those are the things which you will be should be writing. So pain and pleasure are our sovereign masters, means undisputable masters. Pain and pleasure govern us in everything we do, determine what we ought to do. So here the strength may be less. Why? Now, because of cold, many avoided class. Means they avoided pain. So, but you shouldn't be doing. See, very, very important if you are preparing for 2024, this is the high time. जनवरी फरवरी में जो पढ़ता है उसको रैंक आता है. मार्च अप्रैल में इवन डॉग्स विल रीड, कुत्ते भी पढ़ते हैं. एग्जाम आए तो पढ़ते ही है ना, बट अब कौन पढ़ता है, दैट डिपेंड्स. So these like 2 months will decide whether you clear or not. Okay. So with this, if that is the thing, let us take some example, very classical examples once again. In ancient Rome, they threw Christian to the lions in the Colosseum for the amusement of the crowd. I repeat, in the ancient Rome, they threw Christians to the lions in the Colosseum to the amusement of the crowd. So have you seen English movies like Gladiator, all these things? उसमें एक hero रहता है, like they will send some lion, tiger like that. So do you think this is ethical? See, now think, we defined happiness as the greatest happiness of the greatest number. This was long before, when Christianity was not the law of the land of those places. So Christians were thought to be traitors and they were thrown. Think, only 4 Christians are suffering, but think about 1,000 people, the ecstasy, the amusement, the joy. So according to Bentham, is it ethical or not? Not according to you, according to Bentham. Why? Yes, greatest happiness of the greatest number. Definitely these people are in pain. So क्या करना है? Subtract करो. So you will get a high number, so it is ethical. Right? So according to utilitarianism, this is ethical. Yet another one, city of happiness, a child locked in room. It's a hypothetical one, yet standard one. According to this, they want to put one important point. What is that? Think that there is a city. In that city, all are happy, always dancing, always joyous. Whatever they want, they are getting. Whatever they want, they are always very happy. But there is a building, think that the same building. In the ground floor, there is a small room. There is a small girl who has been locked in that room. It is said that if this girl comes outside the room, the happiness of the whole city vanishes. The whole Delhi will start burning. All people will be quarreling. So, in this case, confining a small girl inside a small room where there is no ventilation for the sake of the whole city, is this ethical? So, according to Bentham, it is true. Okay, so the same. Then lifeboat case we have studied. Okay. So according to Bentham, what legislatures should do? So you just think, according to Bentham, what should the law do? Law में क्या रहना है? Yes. So एक law बनाओ, सबका pain and pleasure calculate करो, add up करो, किसका highest आएगा? That law is ethical. Is the concept clear? That is in fact what we are doing now in present context. So to the legislator, what is the ethical policy? If we add up all the benefits and subtract all the cost, it should produce more happiness than the alternative. If there is any policy, if there is any law which produces more happiness than the present one, then that should be replaced. So is a very famous example given by the Bentham itself with respect to Bentham, beggars and utilitarianism. So should the beggars be allowed to stay on the street? How do you apply Bentham's happiness concept here? Pain and pleasure. So when you see the beggars on the street, आपको बहुत खुश होता है क्या? Like if he is very hard, like hearted, he feels very disgusted. If they are tender hearted, they'll feel pity. So is it increasing pleasure? So it is decreasing, right? So in that case, Bentham says that all these people should be removed from the street because they are like producing more pain. Then उनको निकालने के बाद किधर रखना है? So he says that all these people should be put in a workplace where they work and they earn their bread. So this is one of the examples which you can take and apply. If at all, if they ask about this beggar thing, you can answer this. So to put it in Bentham form, encountering beggars on the street reduces the happiness of the passers-by. For tender-hearted soul, the sight of the beggar produces the pain of sympathy. For the hard-hearted folk, it generates the pain of disgust. In both the cases, reduce the utility of the general public. So Bentham proposed removing beggars from the streets and conforming them to workhouses. So here, when you confirm beggars into workhouses, there will be some objections. So what may be those objections? Some beggars would be happier begging than working in the. So what should be the justification given by the Bentham? The sum of the pains suffered by the public is greater than whatsoever unhappiness is felt by the beggars. So they have to be removed. The cost of building and running the workhouse. This is also important because you take all the beggars and house somewhere, who will be giving the money? People. So it will cause pain to them. So for that, Bentham says that no, it's not like that. Each beggar would have to work to pay off the cost of his maintenance. So his creativity with respect to utility won't stop here itself. So you may be staying in hostels, all these things. So how are the arrangements made? So beggars को भी ये workhouse में कैसा रहना है? So confining beggars in the workhouse. So rooming arrangements कैसा रहेगा? Next to every class, station a class unsusceptible of the inconvenience. Means beggars are not homogeneous. कुछ को एक नहीं रहता और एक को वो डबल रहता है, something like that. So there are very very heterogeneous. Some may be deaf, another may be dumb. So he says this: next to every class station a class unsuitable for the inconvenience. Next to a person who talk more, place a deaf and dumb. Next to prostitutes and loose women, place aged women. Next to shockingly deformed, place a blind person. So by that, he is bringing the utility also. So here the pain will be reduced. So this is very important, like with respect to utilitarianism. Okay. Oh, then what are the limits? Minority, very good. Then vulnerable sections. The most important thing is whatever makes you happy, we cannot say that that is right and wrong. Is it clear? Can we consider that? So that is one of the greatest limitation. Coming to the limitations, firstly, it fails to respect individual rights. The second is no a common currency of value. So what does this mean? The second one, here they are putting each and everything present into one value. What is that? Happiness. So they cannot be like common currency for values. A classical example will be cost benefit analysis. So what they do in cost benefit analysis, they convert everything into money. So here they are converting everything into happiness. So these are the two greatest limitations of Bentham. So these limitations were overcome by, in fact, Stuart Mill. So explaining the second one, if we have cost benefit analysis, then we can say that smoking is profitable. It's not me saying. There was a study conducted, Philip Morris. They found that if people smoke, in fact, the society will be getting in the form of money. Net, the treasury will be getting 147 million per year. How? How smoking is beneficial? Lot of taxes. Because as you might be aware, with respect to state governments, one of the major taxes comes from alcohol, right? So if they ban, they won't be getting revenue. रोज दारू पिए तो वो क्या होता है? 100 years रहता है क्या? Gone. So all aging related caretaking things gone. He is providing all the money. They are taxed more. So by this, if you take by this logic, this smoking is also profitable. At another, exploding gas tanks are economical. This is with respect to car. So during 1970s, a very, very famous car, Ford Pinto, was one of the best-selling subcompact cars in the United States. Unfortunately, its fuel tank was prone to explode when another car collided with it from the rear. So cylinders abhi पीछे रहते हैं. If someone collides from the rear, it will explode. But if you take cost benefit analysis, Ford estimated that if the same things are kept, there will be 180 deaths, 180 burn injuries, which will result if no changes are made. So overall benefit of the safety improvement, if there's some safety improvement, safety device is added, it will be just 49 million. But the cost of adding the safety device, 11 rupees safety device to 12.5 million vehicles will be 137 millions. So here the example is that we cannot convert everything into one common currency. Here we have converted death, like burns, everything into cost. So what Bentham has done, he has converted everything into happiness. So to overcome the limitations, John Stuart Mill revised the Bentham's doctrines. इसमें like Mill is a very very famous person, very well known in especially in political philosophy. With respect to moral things, not that much, but he's a very very important one. A brief about Stuart Mill because it's very interesting. So John Stuart Mill was the son of James Mill. So this James Mill, a friend and the disciple of Bentham, हमने जो अभी पढ़ा. James Mill homeschooled his son. ये बहुत ट्रेंड में चल रहा है आजकल, homeschooling. If you go to abroad, this is the one. If one of the parent, if they are not working, their only work is homeschooling. So James Mill homeschooled his son, and the young Mill became a child prodigy. John Stuart Mill studied Greek at the age of 3, just 3 years, and Latin at 8. At the age of 11, he wrote the history of Roman law, just 11 years. So आपने इधर कोई book लिखे? Like, so he is far ahead. By 11 year, he wrote even Roman law itself. So ऐसा बहुत तेज जाने से पर क्या होता है? Next, when he was 20, he suffered nerve breakdown. देखिए कितना अच्छा लड़का था, ब्रिलियंट था, now breakdown. So what will be his fate? So gone. So somehow he recovered off late, which left him depressed for several years. Shortly thereafter, he met Harriet Taylor. She was a married woman at that point of time with 2 children, but she and Mill became close friends. In fact, I think she was working as a doctor or nurse, I think. When her husband died 20 years later, afterwards they married. She married Mill. So what is wrong in that? बूढ़ों को भी चांस दीजिए मैरी होने के लिए. So this is one of the thing. Coming to our ethics, why society opposes like elderly people marrying young ones? Maybe either way. Why? It is somehow said like not that appropriate. Why? ऐसा होगा तो हमारा फ्यूचर जनरेशन का क्या होगा हाल? There will be one teacher who has lot of money. He will take all the women. So next generation को क्या रहेगा? Not only that, old water has to go, new water has to come. That is the reason society says that these things are wrong. Otherwise, society would have encouraged. There is nothing wrong. Are you able to connect how society grows, how society is maintaining? So हम society को criticize करते हैं. If society would have not been there, we would have not been here. Right? So Mill credited Taylor as his greatest intellectual companion and collaborated as he said to revise the Bentham's doctrines. It's just a history, no need. इसमें एक क्वेश्चन भी नहीं आएगा. Just for you, this one. So if at all, if you are not reading, don't worry. If you read much, you will become like Mill. Okay. So here he failed to respect individual rights. So इसलिए Stuart Mill ने क्या किया? He propounded and he told that individual liberty should be given more importance. But here too, he was there within the utility loop itself. Here he says that by giving individual liberty, greatest happiness of the greatest number will come. Very important is not talking about individual liberty as freedom. Why is advocating individual liberty? Greatest happiness of the greatest number. Okay, sir. People should be free to do whatever they want, provided they do not harm others. Mill thinks that if we should maximize utility, not case by state, but in the long run and over time, respecting individual liberty will lead to the greatest human happiness. So the crux is here not about liberty, it's about respecting individual liberty will lead to the greatest human happiness. And with respect to common currency of value, so he tried to differentiate the pleasure into higher order and the lower one. So he said that your involvement in music, in art, all these things are higher pleasures. The higher pleasures or nobler virtues are simply those that produces longer, stronger pleasure, qualitative and distinction made of pleasures. Suggested that pleasure should not merely refer to the sensual pleasures, but also mental pleasures such as music, literature, friendship. Mill sought to make intellectual pleasure preferable over the sensual pleasures. So in this itself, you can have one UPSC question also. What does happiness means to you? So here, as I told you, You have to differentiate between happiness and pleasure. So how to differentiate? What are the differences? Happiness is related to mind, whereas pleasure is related to the body. For example, sexual pleasure, eating, drinking. Next, pleasure is short duration than happiness. Happiness is long term, focusing on the satisfaction of living well or achieving life goals. Happiness encompasses pleasure and pain also. So, here the most important thing is when you satisfy a value, the thing what you get is said to be happiness. So, this is an important one. Like you can write this answer for what does happiness mean to you, a UPSC question. So the same things, limitations. Happiness is not good or right. Making a person, okay, making a person happy is quite different from making him good or prudent. Pain and pleasure, not our sovereign masters. People are used as means here. Measuring happiness is difficult. So other are predicting the outcome is difficult. Individual rights may be infringed. Minorities. Comparing is difficult. Material gains such as money against the intangible gains such as happiness. So change in circumstances also makes it difficult to calculate happiness. So these are the limitations. So in IGNO material they have given, and in fact the same things what I have given are there in the IGNO material. You please go through, and they have given in a very beautiful way too. So I don't want to repeat. This I have taken from IGNO material. It's very good. Okay. So deontology, one of the most important yet often confused. So deontologica, like I have seen many people explaining in a very wrong way. What is deontology? Deon means duty. So here duty ka kya hoga? Like how they have brought duty. So very important. One of the, like in ethics, you have got two thinkers. One is Immanuel Kant, very difficult thinker, it is said to be, and another is John Rawls. These are the only difficult things in ethics. All other things are simply common sense. No need of any intellectual thought for those things. So deontology. Okay. The same questions. Here the questions are directly answered. You will get the answer to these two. Okay. So deontology, an action is considered morally good because of the characters of the action itself, not because of the product of the action is good. So it is not concentrating on the ends. It is concentrating on the means. Action is morally obligatory. Deon means duty. So action is moral obligatory regardless of their consequences for human welfare. Duty for the sake of duty, virtue is its own reward, are the taglines which define these two. So here you have got generally five. In most of the cases, there is no need for you to know these things also. In deontology, you have got categorical imperative theory, divine command theory, natural rights theory, pluralist deontology, contractarian ethics. So I'll explain this thing in detail, and this is the one which has been asked in the questions also. So divine command theory. So deontology. Deon means duty. So what is your duty? What God says. Doing that is divine command theory. So that is your duty. That is ethical. Natural rights theory. It gives more importance for the rights. So like if you are not violating, if you are abiding by the human rights or any individual rights, then it is said to be ethical. Then pluralistic deontology, it simply says that there is not just only one duty which is present. There may be plurality of duties. I may be a father, I may be a son, I may be a student, I may be a teacher. So I'll be having more, like many duties to perform at a time. So contractarian ethics simply says that you have to abide by the contract. So your categorical imperative is the most important one. Okay. Kant rejected utilitarianism. So here, like you have to concentrate a bit because it's very conceptual. It's thought provoking also. And this is the reason why I took up this in the first class. In fact, For civil service, this is the most important theory. So Kant rejected utilitarianism. So the utilitarian says that pain and pleasure are sovereign masters. But Kant says that whatever which is like producing happiness, we cannot say that that is good or bad. The most importantly, ethics cannot be based on interests, wants, desires, and preferences people have at any given time. That is empirical consideration, because these factors are variable and contingent. Please read this again and relate it to consequentialism. The fifth one. He says that ethics cannot be based on interests, wants, and desires. My question is, was consequentialism based on interests, wants, desires? So that is the one we are relating to happiness. So he says that we cannot have these things because they are variable, they are dependent on the situation. So these cannot be considered as supreme ethical standards. So what is the basis of supreme ethical standards then? This means in that how to arrive at supreme ethical standard. The last one is important. It should not be based on your interest. It should not be based on your wants, desires, preferences, what people have. Can you think of something which is other than this? It should not be based on the interest of people. It should not be based on wants, desires, and preferences of people. Then what is that one thing? So Kant says that it is the reason. So we can arrive at supreme ethical standard through the exercise of pure practical reason. Why pure practical reason? He says that ethics is dependent on the reason. In fact, a very important one, he says that ethics is not with humans. It lies outside humans. Okay, like I'll explain. We are also part of society. So he says that, think of another example coming to the title, ethics and human interface, right? So what are they saying? Ethics is different, humans are different. There should be interference. Man machine interference. So here what Kant is saying that ethics should not be based on what individuals thinks, what individual desires, what gives pleasure. Ethics should be based on reason. Reason is logic. Logic is truth. It cannot be based on what makes you feel good and bad. So he says that ethics resides outside you. That is the reason why your first line in the syllabus is said to be ethics and human interference. So I will explain this as we proceed. So pure practical reason. Then you may ask me, now please connect the dots. We said that no happiness, no pleasure, no desires. Then we concluded that reason is the one. Why reason? Before that, humans should be respected. Why? One of the most important reasons given by Kant is humans are autonomous beings. Means they are capable of living freely, autonomy. And also humans are rational beings. These are very important. Humans are autonomous and also rational beings. Because of that, we have to give value to humanity. And humanity should be basis for ethics. So here he says that why reason? Pure practical reason, or you can just say reason. Why reason? Because humans are rational beings. And also we are autonomous beings. We are capable of living freely and also we are able to make rational decisions, right? So, pure practical reason. We are rational beings and autonomous beings. Rational beings because we are capable of reason. So, the key word for rational being is reason. Every person is worth respect because they are rational being. We are autonomous beings because we are capable of acting and choosing freely. Clear? Any doubt with respect to this slide? Then what is freedom? Without limitation. Okay. Kant gives a very, very beautiful example. If I drop this marker, it falls down, right? गिराना है क्या? नहीं. Is this marker falling freely? It is not falling freely. Huh? Remove air. Remove air freely. Kant says that it is not falling freely. It is acting as a slave to gravity. So when can you be, very, very important thought, when can you be said you are living freely? When you make a law, when you give a law, and when you live according to that law, then you are free. Clear? So when I feel thirsty, I go and eat ice cream. So here Kant says that I am acting as a slave to my appetite. This hunger, did I give that hunger to myself? Then who gave? Nature gave. Right? That is not you. That is not you means you are not free. Did you get confused or is it clear? So he says that to be called free, you have to give a law. You have to act according to that. Then only it can be said to be free. Otherwise, no. If you are like your behavior, thought, action, if it is guided by the laws of nature, laws of physics, then you are acting as a slave to those laws. See, you have to differentiate the thing. The same concept of pain and pleasure. In the first one, we said that they are the sovereign masters. In the other one, we are using a different notion of that. So what is freedom? Generally, absence of obstacles to do whatever we want is said to be freedom. Seeking pleasure or avoiding pain is said to be freedom, generally. But Kant says that no, they are not freedom, because when we are seeking pleasure or avoiding pain, like animals, we are acting as slaves to our appetites and desires. I repeat, when we are seeking pleasure or avoiding pain, like animals, you are acting as slaves to our appetites and desires. Acting as slaves. Why? Because when you are seeking to satisfy your desire, everything we do is for the sake of some end given outside you. When you are satisfying your desires, what you are doing? You are doing all these things for the end given outside you. So 6 o'clock, like I should be hungry. ऐसा आपने कुछ कोड किया है? These are given by biology, right? Example, trying to decide what flavor of ice cream to order. So you may think that I chose freely vanilla. No. So you are just acting as a slave to your desire. Is the concept clear? Okay. What is freedom then? Whenever our behavior is biologically determined or socially conditioned, it is not truly freedom. Very important. Whenever our behavior is biologically determined or socially conditioned, it is not truly free. Then what is freedom? Freedom is autonomy. What is autonomy? To act freely. To act freely is to act autonomously. What is autonomy? Autonomy is a law I give myself. To act autonomously is to act according to law I give myself, not according to the dictates of the nature or the social conviction. Clear? So what is freedom? What is autonomy according to Kant? The last one. एक बार पढ़िए and you keep that in your mind. Last one. Autonomy से पढ़िए. So opposite of autonomy is heteronomy. No, no, no. That is based on what? Reason. Truth. Does it depend on you? Truth doesn't depend on you. Logic doesn't depend on you. So that is the one. So opposite of freedom is heteronomy. What is heteronomy? Heteronomy is opposite of autonomy. When I act heteronomously, I act according to the determinants given outside me. Example, when you drop a stone. So when you drop a stone, so it is acting according to the rules given by gravity. The marker is not acting on its own. So that is the one they have. When we act heteronomously, we are instruments, not authors of the purpose we pursue. So instrument means, right? So you're acting as just a means, as an instrument, right? When we act autonomously, according to the law we give to ourselves, we do something for its own sake as an end in itself. So what is freedom? When we act autonomously, it is said to be freedom. Acting according to a law we give ourselves, we do something for its own sake as an end in itself. In the previous one, we were just instruments. We cease to be instruments of the purpose given outside us. So that is like we can act freely. This capacity to act autonomously is what gives human life its special dignity. Respecting human dignity means treating persons as ends in themselves. The last line is very important, and this is the answer for the second question which we saw. Respecting human dignity means treating persons as end in themselves. So when they say people should not be treated as means, the meaning is humanity should not be treated as means, not that you. Is the point clear to you? When you are treating an individual as a means, you are treating the humanity as a mean. So Kant like give more importance to the humanity. Okay. Treating persons as ends in themselves means respecting human dignity. Is the point clear to you? Treating persons as ends in themselves means treating humanity as an end. Means respecting human dignity. Why respecting human dignity? Why we should respect humans? Autonomous and rational. Very important. If you write these two, it's enough. So that is the reason he says that he differentiates, in fact, humans by these two logics. So now these are the things. Now Kant answer as to what is the supreme ethical standard by connecting these three: morality, freedom, and reason. So morality means ethics. Freedom we have discussed, and the reason. When it comes to reason, it is the categorical imperative. There are two kinds of reasoning. One is categorical imperative, the other one is hypothetical imperative. We'll discuss that. So morality with respect to those things we have discussed. So to make these points very clear, he uses two contrasts, dualisms, duty and inclination. So when you do your duty, that is said to be ethical. If you do something other than duty, then that is unethical. So freedom, autonomy and heteronomy, reasoning, categorical imperative and hypothetical imperative. So now this is one thing. Throughout the second ARC and even UPSC have used the term ethics and moral interchangeably. So why I'm stressing this again is, like, as you are aware, values are a very broad one. Within that comes your morality. And in fact, it is equal to ethics also. If you still differentiate, we can say that values, after that morality, after that ethics. So here, whenever you are reading something, you may feel, in fact, these were the things which I used to feel. Suddenly, the author jumps from values to ethics, ethics to morality. You may get confused. Don't get confused. There can be, like, they are very closely related, right? So, what is moral? Thank you. So, what is moral or what is ethical according to Kant? So, here, moral is equal to motive. So, we'll go back to that small child. So, what decide whether anything is ethical or moral? The motive behind. So, then what should be the motive? So, what should be the motive? This is a very important one. What should be the motive with which you should be doing? The motive of duty. That is the reason it is said to be deontology. So, the motive is duty. Morality of an action is contingent on the motive. The motive of an individual or anyone is duty. Duty means deon. So, by this equation, moral is equal to what? A is equal to B, B is equal to C. So, A is equal to C. So, morality is equal to duty. So, that is the reason you have got deontology. Understood? So, now once again, what is your duty? So, he says that if you just do your duty, that is ethical. Then what is your duty? Yes, true. But with respect to our like general cognition, we cannot answer. He thinks in a very different way. So here the duty is following categorical imperative. Why following categorical imperative? That is based on reason. So deontology का मतलब थोड़ा समझ में आया? So according to Kant, morality of an action is dependent on the motive. So the motive with which you should be doing any work is duty. So that is why it is said to be deontology. So this explanation is not given in any of the books with respect to how motive, duty, connecting those things. So not our UPSC books, in many foreign author books they have given. I have taken from them itself. Right? Now please do concentrate. What is moral? Look for the motive. The moral worth of an action consists in the motive or the intention from which the act is done. I repeat, whether something is morally worth, something is ethical or not, of an action consists in the motive or the intention for which the act is done, not in the consequences that flow from it. What matters is motive. What matters is doing right thing because it is right, not for some hidden motive. Motive that confirms moral worth of an action is. What is the motive which confirms moral worth of an action? It's the motive of duty, by which Kant means doing the right thing for right reason. So what is the opposite of motive of duty? Inclination. So if you are doing anything other than duty, that is said to be inclination. If you are doing anything based on your preferences, based on anything, it is said to be inclination. So, motive of inclination is the opposite of motive of duty. Here, the motive with which you are doing is inclined. Motive of inclination is equal to motive other than duty, opposite to motive of duty. If we act out for some motive, if we act out of some motive other than duty, such as self-interest, all attempt to satisfy your wants, desires, preferences, appetites, our actions lack moral worth. So, to sum up the things, motive of inclination is the opposite of motive of duty. It simply says that you do any action, if the motive is other than duty, that is said to be inclination. It may be in the form of self-interest, wants, preferences, everything. No, we cannot say. So here, just is dwelling upon only reason. Okay. Kant insists that only actions done out of moral duty have moral worth. So the same here. So you are aware of that. I won't be going in detail, but the explanation I'll be going through. The shopkeeper's actions lack moral worth. Shopkeeper does right thing, acts honestly, but for wrong reasons, self-interest, profit. So this is an example of motive of inclination. So he is not doing something for its own sake. He is doing for profit. Honesty is profitable. How? If you are honest, it will be profitable, especially for a merchant. How? Say, for example, there are two merchants. One is honest, another is dishonest. Whom do you prefer? Whom do you go with? Honest. So, being honest makes him profitable. That is the reason he is honest. Not that you want to be honest, right? Honesty is profitable. Honesty is the best policy. It's the most profitable. It's the most important asset, because a business that deals in truth, openness, and fair value do well. So this you can take for honesty also. Like, what do you understand by honesty? They may ask. They have asked about happiness, patriotism. Coming back to the one, there is an important moral distinction between honesty for its own sake, honesty for the sake of honesty, honesty for the sake of profitability. In the first is the principled position, second is prudential one, that which is based on carefully calculating and avoiding the risk. Kant argues that only the principled position, that is honesty for the sake of honesty, is in line with the motive of duty, the only motive that confers moral worth of an action. With respect to connecting these things, morality, they have used duty and inclination. With respect to freedom, autonomy and heteronomy. So we have studied both of this. Somehow, like, I'll brief the things again. Only the motive of duty can confer moral worth of an action. The second one, freedom. To understand the concept of freedom, he has given autonomy and heteronomy. I am free only when my will is determined autonomously. I repeat, I am free only when my will, whatever I do, is determined autonomously, governed by a law I give myself. So, are you all autonomous? Why? So, you have to give laws to yourself and you have to abide by those things. So, don't worry. This is a different thing he is asking of. When he thinks of these things, he is talking about categorical imperative. Everything in nature works in accordance with the laws. Very important to substantiate this. Everything in nature works in accordance with laws, such as laws of natural necessity, the physical laws, the laws of cause and effect. If our actions are governed solely by the laws of physics, then we would be no different from the stone. Do you agree with this? So that is the reason, like, he is said to be one of the difficult thinker to comprehend. Not only this, Kant was a very, very versatile person. You might have heard him about in physics also, in chemistry, in astronomy, and in fact, he was also a bachelor. And time sense, uska time sense kaisa rehta tha? Like this were very long, centuries back. All the people used to set their clock right after seeing him. Means ये walking जाता था तो हमारा घड़ी ठीक नहीं है. Now the time is 5 o'clock. They used to make like that. So being bachelor, you have got lot of advantages also. Okay. So if we are capable of freedom, we must be capable of acting not according to the law that is given or imposed on us, but according to the law we give ourselves. But where could be such law? The law which we give ourselves come from. Yes, yourself. From where? Is it dependent on your desires, wants, preferences? Then reason. So that is the answer. So he says that law should come with the reason. So that is the reason he is entirely different thinker. Kant's answer is from the reason. The law we give ourselves comes from the reason. Kant's idea of reason, of practical reason, the kind involved in morality, is not instrumental reason. Instrumental reason bole to yes means it is not instrumental, but pure practical reason which legislate the priori regardless of all empirical ends. So it is way beyond all these things. Priori simply means like relating to or derived by reasoning from self-evident propositions. So categorical imperative, this is a very important one. So like whatever we studied till now is something related to this again. And this is the one which is asked. And this is the one which has revolutionized the thought, not only in ethics, even in philosophy and in many areas. So what is categorical imperative? The meaning of the words are very important. Categorical means just dictionary meaning without exception or conditions, absolute. In fact, imperative also means the same. He says that something that has to be done. So what is the meaning of categorical imperative? Without exception, you have to do something. Categorical imperative. So here the key thing is just take the literal meaning of these words, categorical and imperative, to begin with, to understand. Kant distinguishes between two ways of reason, two ways that reason can command the will. I repeat, two ways that reason can command the will. The two different kinds of imperative. They are categorical and hypothetical. What is hypothetical imperative? Hypothetical imperative uses instrumental reasoning. So it just means like if you want X, then do Y. If you want good business reputation, then treat your customers honestly. So here hypothetical like reasoning, other thing what we can think is, say for example, there is a boy who is waking up, boy or a girl. So we have to make gender neutral. So a boy or girl, she wakes up at 5 o'clock in this cold and she is reading. She is reading ethics. So one of her friend went and asked, "Why are you reading ethics?" So she told that, like, I want to get good marks in ethics. Why you want to get good marks in ethics? I want to be an IAS officer. Why you want to be an IAS officer? To serve the people. So all are laughing. You have to serve. There is inevitably, it is truth. You should be doing only service because you'll be having everything. I literally mean you will be having everything except one time. So at least if you don't do, at least you encourage your friends and family persons. So things apart. So that is true. आप जो ऐसे like जाते हैं ना, ऐसा नहीं रहता. The main difference is you won't be having time. You'll be having everything. Okay. So that is a example for hypothetical imperative. Only categorical imperative is ethical. What is categorical imperative? Categorical imperative, a practical law. Is it clear? What is categorical imperative? Is a practical law that binds its that by itself commands absolutely and without any further motive. So these are the things which you should be writing as to what is categorical imperative. Practical law that by itself commands absolutely and without any further motive. I have quoted them. The idea of law that binds us as rational beings regardless of our practical ends. So please read this and try to answer the last one. So I was told that I have to take class till 9 o'clock. Okay. So like don't be afraid, madam. I'll reduce. So 8 o'clock at least. Yes, another 40 minutes. You have got any work? Not a problem. No, not a problem, madam. Your convenience most important. Not at all a problem. So that is the reason I told. So if you have got any doubt, like anything like that, you can go. Please. Because I know like how horrible Delhi is. Not like southern part of India where the things are very safe. Okay. So what is the answer? So what is it? Okay. So here I repeat, a practical law that by itself commands absolutely and without any further motive. The practical law, what is that practical? The idea of law that binds us as rational beings regardless of our particular ends. So what is that? So in fact, it is humanity. So isko categorical imperative, we have to write this. And there are two formulations to make you understand better. What are these? Two versions of categorical imperative. Universalize this maximum, your maximum. Treat persons as an end. These two are not different. Both amount to the same thing. So what is that? Categorical imperative. So universalize your maximum means, if at all if you want to do something, you just ask a question. Can this be universally applied? If the answer is yes, then you have to be doing. And treat persons as end. If in any of your action, if you are treating any individual as a means, then it is not categorical imperative. So let me explain these things. You are wrong, sir. I'll explain. Code of conduct cannot prevail over code of ethics because from code of ethics itself, we have delineated code of conduct. We'll discuss, sir. We are not into that because students will get diverted. You're already aware of those things. Formulation of universal law. Act only on that maxim through which you can at the same time will that it should become a universal law. Very difficult one. Kant's words I have quoted. Act only on that maxim, only on that principle through which you can at the same time will that should become a universal law. So whatever you are doing, so that should become a law. If that is not, you shouldn't be acting. This is one formulation. Next, the example of this one. Is it ever right to make promise you know you won't be able to keep? See, I want 100 rupees. I will just say, so tomorrow I will be getting 100 rupees, you give me 100 rupees. So can we universalize this? If we universalize this, like there will be in times where people won't believe on promises itself, right? So God promise, O promise, A promise बोले तो चलो आगे बोल देते हैं, right? So here universalizing false promise would undermine the institution of promise keeping itself. How to prepare notes for your slides? Should we write all the slides of your notes? We should have to prepare notes for long term. Yes. So here the most important thing, as I already told, everything what I am giving is notes. So you have to make very, very short notes. So you have to find the jewels. So and you have to write those things. Otherwise ऐसा पढ़ने से दिमाग में कुछ नहीं रहेगा. So itna, like if I give 100 pages, you should be writing only one page. Okay. Is the example clear to you? So this cannot be categorical imperative. Then second one, treat persons as end, humanity as an end. So treating person as end, very, very important. It is not about individual. It is about humanity. When you treat person as a mean, you are not treating that person. You are treating humanity as a means. We cannot base the moral law on any particular interest, purpose, or ends, because then it would be only relative to the person whose ends they are. I repeat, we cannot base the moral law on any particular interest, purpose, or ends, because then it would be only relative to the person whose ends they are. But this has to be based on something whose existence has in itself an absolute value, an end in itself. What is that? An absolute value, an end in itself. So एक बार पढ़िए from here and do answer this one. So it's humanity. So you have to base on humanity, right? Act in such a way that you always treat humanity, very important. Just listen to me, that this is the accurate answer for the second question. Act in such a way that you always treat humanity, whether in your person or in the other, or in the person of any other, never simply as means, but always at the same time as an end. This is the formula of humanity as an end, or people as an end. So are you able to recall the previous question? People should be treated as ends. So what is the meaning? Humanity is the one. So if you are treating a person as a means, so what is the meaning? You are treating humanity as the means. So once again, false promise. When I promise to repay you the money I hope to borrow, knowing that I won't be able to, I am manipulating you. I am using you as a means to my financial solvency, not treating you as an end worthy of respect. Is it clear? So, false promise. When I promise to repay you the money I hope to borrow, knowing that I won't be able to. When I say tomorrow I'll be giving, so what I am doing? I am manipulating you. So, by that, I am using you as means. What does this means? Using you as means I am using humanity as a means. Clear? So murder and suicide. So is there any difference between murder and suicide? So here in Kant's formulation, there is no difference at all. So in case of murder, you are killing against someone's wish. In case of suicide, मेरा ही जिंदगी, like whatever I will do. Kant says that ऐसा नहीं है. This humanity belong, that the life what you have belongs to humanity. The most important thing is the humanity in me and the humanity in you are not different. They are the same. So when I am committing suicide, I am killing humanity. When I am killing you, same. Is this clear? So in Kant's words, these are same. So the same here. Please read very fast. We'll finish in another 10-15 minutes. Treating humanity as an end puts murder and suicide on the same footing. No, madam. Please, madam. You please carry on. Not a problem. ये तो recording भी रहेगा. PPT will be given. And if something goes wrong, I will be the victim. सर की वजह से ऐसा हुआ. Are you reading or not? So continuously 2 hours बोलने के बाद any difference here? Self-respect and respecting others. Why? So yes. So self-respect means respecting others means humanity once again. Okay. So we owe respect to persons as rational beings, as the bearer of humanity. It has nothing to do with who that particular person may be. So universal human rights, this is very, very important, because in fact, Kant was the first person who spoke about humanity. So now you can like gauge, like we have brought the concept of humanity also. Kant's respect is respect for humanity as such, for a rational capacity that resides undifferentiated in all of us. Kant's principle of respect leans itself to the doctrine of universal human rights. So this needs little explanation. What is morality according to Kant? Duty, right? What is freedom according to Kant? So, so it is said that both mean the same. Let us see how. Acting freely, that is autonomously. Second, acting morally, that is according to categorical imperative. Means acting morally means acting according to duty. What is your duty? Following categorical imperative. Are one and the same. Acting morally means acting out of duty for the sake of moral law. The moral law consists of categorical imperative, a principle that requires us to treat persons with respect as an end in themselves. So ये थोड़ा difficult है. You have to go and think, right? So have you heard of golden rule? So this is the golden rule. Treating others as you want to be. It is in fact one of the standards for ethicals. Treating others as you want to be treated. Do unto others as you would have them to do unto you. It's a very famous one in Bible. Throughout the Bible, they have written not only that, even in most of the sacred texts, including Gita, they have made this one. Right? So is there any difference between categorical imperative and golden rule? How? How, sir? So that becomes like entirely wrong. Here the humanity in you or other, it is same. So here the question itself becomes wrong. So here treating others as you want to be treated means once again you are moving away from categorical imperative. You are basing the things on what you like, how you want to be treated. Are you getting me? So it is not categorical imperative. So categorical imperative, treat everyone with respect as an end in itself. So how is this? Suppose you learned that your brother has died in a car accident. Hypothetical one. Your elderly mother in fragile condition in a nursing home asks for news of him. What is the right thing to do? Is this clear to you? So here you have to apply two things. Golden rule. So elderly mother in fragile condition in nursing home. So according to golden rule क्या है? आप डेथ बेड पे है तो what you expect that has to be told, right? So here a question आता ही नहीं है. According to Kant, when you say something lie, when you lie your mother, like think that like she's like in a very bad condition, even then if you lie, then you are committing a mistake. How? You are using the humanity in her as a means for her own solvency, her own happiness. She is also a rational being. She is also autonomous being. Then who are you to use the humanity present in her as a means? So here this goes. Golden rule, how would you like to be treated in a similar circumstance? Right? With respect to categorical, a wrong question arising नहीं होता. Treat persons as rational beings worth of respect. Lying to your mother out of the concern for her feelings would arguably use her as a means to her own contentment, happiness, or satisfaction rather than respecting her as a rational being and autonomous being. Do you get the meaning? Okay. Different categorical imperatives. Okay. So can there be different categorical imperative? Okay. So these are the questions. These are very little difficult to comprehend. You go home and read. Tomorrow I'll explain because already I can make out from your face. You're already tired. So, so Kant says that, like in his opinion, only the union between husband and wife is the only proper way of sex. He equates any consensual sex, however, like consent they may be. He says that you are using that person as a means. So for that he opposes, and in fact he equates any casual sex with prostitution because in both are objectionable on the same ground. Only sex in marriage is ethical according to Kant. Kant concludes that only sex within the marriage can avoid degrading humanity. He concludes that only sex within marriage can avoid degrading humanity. Then you may ask like how? He says that in marriage there is a union of both where you are not like just he says that there is a like union of humanity. In Kant's word, when only when two persons give each of others the whole of themselves. I repeat, only when two persons give each other the whole of themselves and not merely the use of their sexual capacities can sex be other than objectifying. So in all other cases it was objectifying. Only when both partners share with each other their person, body, soul for good, ill, and in every respect can their sexuality lead to a union of human beings. So this is a very good example he has given. This can be used for any of the essays also. Okay. So these are the things with respect to Kant I have already explained. So here morality, freedom, and reason. For this, these are the like short forms, like summing up the things. एक बार पढ़िए to finish up the class. Okay, so if you read this, it will be more than sufficient. And not only that, I have taken from other sources with respect to the respect for person, Kant kya hai. I have made the things in a very simple way. So we can go through these things here. We have talked about not only autonomous beings with respect to human dignity also in a different way. These are very, very important, the last ones, because I prepared today itself. These are very important. Please go through this once. The same things I have reiterated here in a different way. So this is the homework for you. Please try to write. So here, with respect to ethics, it's a different kind of paper. Why ethics is different than all other papers? Yes. So the most important thing is it is testing attitude. No other paper tests attitude, right? And also it tests problem solving ability. There is only one paper which will be testing problem solving, your CSAT. That is only one part. So you try to write the answer here. Pehle, like one of the big mistake what I have found in students with respect to answer writing is, sir intro क्या लिखना है, conclusion क्या लिखना है, उस पे ज्ञान मत दो. पहला, like what is the demand of the question, you write it. Introduction will flow, conclusion is incidental. So when you try to do all the three, you will end up doing nothing. Introduction, it's very simple. Just explain the meaning and any current related things, introduction ho jayega. But what is the demand of the question? Have you understood the question and write the answer? So here I won't expect you to write 100 words or 150 words. One line, two line, three line, 50 words, more than sufficient. If you can write just 2 3 lines also, it will be more than sufficient. Until and unless you write, you won't be in output mode. You'll be just input mode. Padho, padho, wo complete karna hai, ye complete karna hai. So here, how your talent or your knowledge is gauged by what you reproduce. So with this, we conclude the session. So if at all, if you have got any doubt, you can ask me now. Yes, action and behavior, it's very difficult to make, differentiate. Behave and action. Action means itself behavior. That becomes very subjective, like the thing, like those are very difficult to differentiate. So here, as I told you, madam, so one important thing with respect to, like, okay, I'll tell them so. So here, that is fixed. The only thing you can do is more practice. Practice. Yes, 100%. But it depends on how much you put the effort. So, for example, if my aptitude is very high, less training is required. If my aptitude is low, more training is required. With practice, the only way is practice. So, any other question? So, action and behavior, like I have to think, because the same knowledge what you have, me also. These are English terms. Action क्या है, behavior क्या है, उतना ही. Okay, if you don't have anything, we'll wind up the session. Political science, I'm not that into these things. Yes, yes. Because other than categorical imperative, everything depend has come from utilitarianism itself. Please. Golden mean, yes. Yes, true. But the thing is, intentionally in aptitude tests, they keep time very low. Intentionally, because what is there in your head, what is there in your mental makeup should come out, not your cognitions. आपको 1 घंटा टाइम दिए तो you may come up with the things, but when you have less time, आपका अंदर जो है वही आएगा. So इसलिए with respect to CSAT, don't try to solve all the questions. Leave 10. For, at least for UPSC also give. Take these 10 questions. Concentrate on 70. Okay. Thank you, one and all. Please. Only one punishment for murdering either one or two or three, whatever. But Kant says we are not murdering ourselves or murdering a person. We are murdering human. Humanity, yes. So idea from there. Not from this, sir. Not from this. So I would. So in philosophy, you read this. Yeah. So any difference? Okay. Did you get anything new in this one? Or already you philosophy student? Okay. So online here also, yes, I'll come. So you just write the answers. I will give the model one, like as to what is the answer. Online wale bhi hai. Yes. So any question if you have got now, you can pose me. Like no offline. That's like you please post the question again so that I can answer. So you can go. So here you write those things on your own and keep it with you and compare to what I say. That will be enough. Because daily I'll be giving daily evaluation, all these things are not that feasible. So any other question? Which definition? Explain the definition by Kant. So he has given with respect to morality, with respect to categorical imperative, all the things. Which explanation? Society has value. So yes. So like you have values, same way society. You think society also no. Don't worry. Society also think that like you. Yes. And it's not like that. If we give, it's like society concepts will be entirely different. They are dependent on individual, but not exactly. So in social science, all are right, and all are not absolutely. What is able to comprehend this one? So categorical imperative. So here, okay, not here, there. So with respect to categorical imperative, please listen to me. What is categorical imperative? That which has to be applied absolutely. Which can be applied absolutely. If we apply reason, something emerges. Please understand I'm telling the crux. So categorical imperative means it is not dependent on anyone.